Okay.
All right, I am here with Jill Sorensen. It's Chance TV. She's done some pretty amazing stuff, and she really cares about helping people. Jill, how is the lighting in your apartment? Most important question.
The lighting, well, you can see. I'm going to be one of those guests who looks at you, not at my own picture.
I doubt that highly. You're not going to take your eyes off yourself. Okay. More important than anything. All right. You're a huge advocate for women, young women especially. When you were a young girl doing modeling, were there any experiences that you had or that you saw others had experience that really pushed you towards this now, coming out to help everyone?
It's funny that you mentioned that because I never really thought about it until the last couple of years. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much I can say here, but definitely when I was 16, I won't mention names, I was roommates with some girls who at that time were 14 and were dating John Casablanca when he was married. So, yeah, it was a very disturbing experience. I have friends who were raped. I'm trying not to mention names, but it was yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we have common friends who have been open about it. It's almost like go overseas and anything goes. We've got your passport, and too bad. You're in Milan, you're in Paris, you have no alternative.
It was a constant. I mean, basically, you just learn to deal with it. You learn to live with it. And you just thought, oh, well, that's just the way things are. And you have to use your own common sense to not get in trouble yourself, you know? It's, yeah. No, it was a constant, I would say. And it was the worst kind of men that circled around you when you were young, when you were early 20s or late teens, and you got exposed to a lot of crap.
Yeah. Well, they're predators. I mean, and that's a strong word, but it's used so much people don't realize or actually have the feeling of it. Predators. They're vultures. They're animals. Now that you started, let's just say what you started, Knockout Abuse Foundation. That's incredible. Tell us about that.
Well, after modeling, or while I was still doing it, in my 20s, I got married and moved to Washington, D.C. And there I was shocked by another, I don't want to sit here and slam guys, but a very male chauvinist town. And basically, it was a town, particularly then in the 90s, in the 2000s, run by men. It still very much is that the women are appendages that come into that town. So my husband... Yeah. I mean, they are. And the women come in as political appendages, mostly. I mean, still, frankly.
Right.
And my husband at the time had a big charity for abused children. And he had 2,000 men going to watch like Muhammad Ali and Price fighting. And everywhere I went, all these, I don't know, when I first came down to DC, there were a lot of women who said, well, why can't I go to, I'm so mad at your husband, I can't go to this charity event. And I never figured out why women were so upset that you have a night off. What do I couldn't really figure out why they were upset about it, but I thought, what a great opportunity. We have 2,000 women whose husbands are going to an event. So a friend of mine, Cheryl Masri, and I decided, well, why don't we start something for women on the same night? Because we immediately have 2,000 of them who want to do something. So that's why it became Knockout Abuse, because they had knockout, okay? So we thought we were really clever with the name. So we started to help one shelter, and then it just started growing. Now we're up to like sometimes 15 shelters, depending on the year. And at the end of the night, at the DC event, we have 2,000 men come to our event. So it's a huge thing in DC.
So the 2,000 men that came, that was not the first time you had the meeting. That was later on, or?
Well, first we started with just 20 women at a restaurant. And
And you
then,
passed around
and
this
then
thing,
we,
made
and,
$3,000,
yeah,
right?
yeah. We thought, oh, we love animals. Should we do something for animals? I mean, honestly, we were like, women or animals? And we decided we wanted to do something to really help women and for women to get together in DC and do something for other women, like create something for women. And so we were first 20 people in the restaurant, and we had some drinks and actually raised about 5,000 off of some guys in the bar. But it works.
Nicely done.
Then the following year, we were 100 people in the restaurant. The year after that, we were 200 people. And then we decided, then the whole OJ thing happened. And we had Denise Brown, his murdered wife's sister, come and speak. And by that time, it became so big, we decided to let the men who went to Fight Night come together for an after party. So then we would have 800, after a couple of years, we had 800 women at the Ritz Hotel. And then at 11 o'clock at night, another, at least 1,000, 1,500 men came from that event. We would have 2,000 people by 11 o'clock. So that's 26 years now.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Just that knockout event, yeah.
And
Wow.
we've been able to raise, almost $11 million now to women and children in DC, and now since 2 years also in Los Angeles.
Knockout West.
Knockout Abuse West, yeah.
Knockout Abuse West, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's we just created a platform for women to be able to join a community, create a community, and all we do is provide a platform, and all these amazing women who come and support us, they do the rest.
Mm-hmm. Well,
And men support us too.
I hope so. I mean, if they can't get behind that, well, we know that a lot of men will get behind.
Yeah, no, a lot of men support us here in LA. I would say it's 35% men who come to our events. Men have been really incredible the last 2 years. There's a great interest among men. They really want to be the kind of men that help and support women, which is so amazing.
Well, they should be. I mean, any guy who does that is just a bully, a piece of garbage, and they need to have somebody needs to run them over. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay. You kind of returned to modeling at this stage in your life, back when you started, whatever, however many years ago. How do you feel that it's changed? Not just the ageism thing, but with social media and influencers becoming models just because they have a huge following, and Photoshop versus airbrushing. What's different now? I mean, everything's kind of different.
Well, it's not that I'm so on top of what's going on in business, but clearly social media has changed everything. And I have a big issue with social media because I think, anyway, how long do we have?
Keep going, don't worry about it. You're important.
You know, I spend all this time focusing on now why are 1 in 3 women in the United States and in the world, why are 1 in 3 women abused? Why, verbally or physically? And I think there are a number of reasons. And one of the reasons is our culture. It's obviously since history, men have been the ones in power, but also looking at what's happening in the culture now, one of the things that we never had the focus on before, but that we are now, is the fact that the new thing, the most watched content online today is 1/3 is pornography. But 85% of that content now have started including violence toward women, beatings and rape of women. And this is being fed into as young as like 10, 12-year-olds' iPhones it's being targeted via social media. And so there's a whole generation of girls and boys who are seeing this kind of violence toward women, and they think it's sex. And I think that's infiltrating the minds. So now women on social media kind of mimic porn stars and objectify themselves. So this is an area we've now started researching, and you know, because that has an effect on then what we do and how women are treated, you know. And this has fed into, you know, what you see young girls do on social media. It's total self-objectification. And I don't know if they're, you know, some call it feminism, or I call it like running patriarchy's errands, you know. You're just becoming a victim of a culture that we unfortunately have not protected these young kids from. So you asked me on social media, I can talk your ear off.
No, that's perfect. It's perfect what you said, and it's true. They're rewarded for it. The more followers from the more sexual, the more money they make.
Yeah.
OnlyFans, they have those Patreon, I think it's called, and OnlyFans, where they basically do, who knows what they do on it, but at $7 per subscriber and 20,000 subscribers, making 100,000 a month, basically doing online porn on their phone.
Yeah, I know. So I think I'm very concerned, you know, as a parent, as a woman, you know, I am extremely concerned what I see is happening with these social media accounts and what's happening. And obviously, you know, followers, likes on Instagram gives models in the industry, it gives them, get paid higher rates. They make money basically on just your own phone, you know? So we don't know how it's going to affect us yet. It's too early. We don't know.
Right.
And I have a, you know, an 18-year-old son, and I can see how it's affecting him. And, you know, and he's like, Mom, I just want to meet a girl who's wearing a sweater, you know, I mean, or so I think, I don't know if it comes from this whole Kardashian culture. Not that I don't want to slam them. I want to slam what they stand for. It's to just completely objectify yourself. There's no focus on education. It's just simply on selling yourself as a sexual commodity. And I don't know where it's going to end up, but I know that it's having an effect on the amount of women who are abused and to the severity of which they are abused. So I don't know. It's too early to tell. There's not enough research.
It's terrifying. I mean, when I was growing up, it was, you know, my father would show me a Playboy magazine when I was 13, and he'd say, nudity is beautiful, and just look at this. I'd say, oh, that was mind-blowing.
Yeah.
I hung out with my 12 and 13-year-old cousins. Like you said, the stuff on their phones. I was like,
oh my God. Yeah.
Like, dude, you can't ever watch that. Like, that's not even probably legal. And it's not good for your head. There's nothing that's exciting about that.
It's really sad because these 12-year-old boys and girls are seeing, and I mean, I have a lot of meetings with women, you know, like Gail Dines from Culture Reframed, who's dealt with this for 30 years and researched it, and just listening to what, you know, what some of this content is. It's not like a little, you know, slap or what people think it could be. This is severe violence and gang rape, and yeah. And this is fed into like a 12-year-old. So a 12-year-old sees this before he has sex ed, and the little girl sees this, and here we are adults. No one's stopping it. I mean, it's crazy. It's the biggest enemy of Me Too. I mean, Me Too is nothing compared to this very dark undercurrent. And one of our things now is we really need to talk about it, you know?
Yeah, you're right. You could put every Harvey Weinstein in jail, but as long as you've got that digital brainwashing pipeline to these kids' phones that you can't stop. Because even if you take one kid's phone away, his friend's got a phone or another phone. Yeah. And they get a lot of shame with it, the kids, because they don't know what they're watching. And so, you know, that I believe that's going to be the next big thing that's going to be talked about. In Sweden, they're already talking about it a lot more in Europe than they are here. So I'm sure it's going to come here too, because it's not okay.
If you took a dog, you're a dog owner, you take a dog and you sodomize it and beat it and videotape it and make money on it, you go to jail. If you do it to a woman, it's sex.
And it's legal.
It's
if
legal.
You try to be with a prostitute, that's illegal. But if I film it and sell it and show everybody, then it's legal. When I was old enough to process that, I said, I don't understand. I can't pay a woman to sleep with me, but if I film it and distribute it, that's legal.
It's crazy.
I'm like, that's a loophole and a half.
That's crazy. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think both men and women, we just want to use common sense, common sense.
Yeah. I feel for your son. I kind of am the same way too. Being in New York, everything is a little bit messed up, and trying to find someone who, the word normal isn't really good, but someone who just isn't extreme or really on another planet. It's not easy. It's for a guy or a girl.
What do you mean to find a woman?
Relationship to talk to. Girls ask me, Chance, do you have a guy for me? Do you know anyone good? I say, nope. I have one guy friend, he's married and he has a family and he's great. The rest are screwed up, insane. They're either liars, cheaters, cross-dressers, in the closet, rich and they think they own the world, will treat you bad. I don't know anybody. Like, I don't even have really good guy friends, only a couple. So there are no good guys for these girls. And then forget if I ask them for a good girlfriend. Like, oh, she's this, she's that, cheating with 10 guys.
Well, it's confusing. I just listened to my son and his friends. They're like, oh, teenage girls, we can't date them. We have to do something. We're all responsible for one another. And that's why these are things we need to talk about. We need to think about what culture every day, what we watch on film. What we watch in film, whatever film becomes popular becomes our culture. Whatever thing we see in magazines, everything creates culture. So we have to really look at what we allow and what we promote and what we accept,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what's the norm? Actually, really important stuff here. What was the biggest obstacle? You've been doing this for so long. Was there something that stood in the way? Were there husbands or boyfriends that were like, I don't want you going to these meetings or whatever, these events. I don't want you involved with this person, such as yourself. What stood in the way? Were there politics?
You mean for our...
for your agenda.
I can't really say that I think anything has stood in our way. I feel like it's been both out here on the West Coast when we started it, people have been just incredibly generous, incredibly supportive. I mean, the kindness and the energy of the people who support Knockout. I can't say there are any obstacles. The coronavirus, because now we can't do our big concert event in the fall. I think we've had to cancel all meetup events all year, but that's about it.
That means it's a male virus then, corona. It's clearly a male virus. A bunch of women-hating men got involved and did it. All right, let's talk something happy real quickly. Marmalade. There's a famous little angelic friend named Marmalade, human-like, and a movie was made based on Marmalade. And that's, you gotta tell me, how much do you love Marmalade that you wrote a movie about it? Right? Is that a girl? I don't even know. I couldn't find out.
No, Marmalade is actually, so when I was modeling, I also acted and wrote, and I still write. And it's a story about Marmalade is a cat. It's an adopted cat at the Humane Society who,
nice.
So I wrote a movie with my friend Jennifer Kussner, and it's about, again, ageism in the modeling industry. And
I love it.
Yeah. And it's it actually was top 3 in the Hollywood Reporter, won the California Film Festival. It did really well, but it was never released for. But it's about
it on Amazon and all those people will buy that. They'll love that.
You know what? I just watched it not too long ago, and I'm like, my God, it's so current right now because it's about being treated like a piece of meat in the modeling industry. And at 27, I mean, the character I played at 29, you're over the hill, you know. So it's and Donald Trump is in it.
Oh, he's wonderful.
In a cameo. Trump models, yeah. Anyway.
Wait, one of the cats is in it as a model, or I say?
No, I said Donald Trump is a cameo. He plays himself in it as Trump
really
model in the movie. Yeah.
This is the real man that's our president.
Yeah. We're not even going to talk about that.
What's the end of the world? That's like the seventh sign of the apocalypse, or whatever those people predict. It's over. Trump in a cat movie. All right. All right. Okay.
But yeah, no, it's we've been talking about trying to figure out a place to, you know.
I'll talk to you about it later. You can put it on Amazon. Like, they'll take it. They'll upload it.
Oh, really? Yeah. I think, I mean, but it's very current what it's dealing with. It's exactly what's happening the last 2 years.
You're ahead of your time.
Yeah.
You grew up in Sweden. You spent time in New York, time in DC, time in LA. What's like the biggest difference between the U.S. and overseas? And then also, how does that affect like raising your son? Do you think it would be better if he wasn't here, he was overseas? Well,
the way I was raised was completely different from the way you were raised, or I mean, man or woman. When I was raised with gender equality. So.
What is that?
Well, for example, you are raised just as an equal to man. Like you're supposed to have it. Well, that you're expected to have a two career household.
I'm joking with you.
Oh, okay.
That's why I'm like, what is this gender equality you speak of? I'm from America.
Yeah.
And you're so kind. You're explaining it. I'm like, why would you have that? Like,
well, no, it's very different. I was shocked when I came to America and men would take you out for dinner. And they're supposed to pay for dinner. I was so uncomfortable with that. That was so strange to me because women, you know, you were equal. So it was.
You must have been more uncomfortable at the end of the night when he's trying to drop you off. And
no, it was all these kind of gender roles. They're different. Like in Sweden, men don't open doors for you. Or carry your suitcase. I mean, that's very chivalrous and nice. But I wasn't raised with that kind of. I think a lot of American women are raised, at least, when I grew up, that you need to find the man to marry, and it was all about that. Whereas that was a completely foreign concept to me, because in Sweden you were raised have a career, be independent, and you don't need a man to save you.
Oh wow, that's why Sweden's working, and it's
so it's a very, very different culture as compared to America.
Okay. And as far as your son, with everything he's going through, would it be better with him over there, do you think? And you were there, you're there with him, obviously? Not that you can go back and re-raise him.
Yeah. I mean, he loves America. We both love America. This is like the coolest country in the world, you know? And he's spent summers there, so I think the mixture and knowing both. But yeah, surely it would have been great to partake in some of that, because I think it's the only way. It's the way of the future. You know, it's the way we all got to go. Yeah.
Well, you're obviously a loving, caring mom. Let's see. Real quick, how many four-legged friends are over there? Because you're a huge animal lover.
So I have 2 rescues. I would put them in the picture. I have a Chihuahua Jack Russell mix. I have a big, I call her a Puerto Rican island dog, because she's like everything. And 3 days ago, I rescued a little orange cat. Her owner died like 2 miles away, and she was alone in the house, and I went to see her via this rescue organization, and I literally came home and I was just like bawling. because
Yeah.
I'm I was thinking about the woman who just died, and there were her animals alone in the house, and these poor animals, clueless that she's never coming back.
Right.
So someone took the dog, and they weren't super close, the cat and the dog, and we just took the cat.
That's
So
great.
3.
That's so perfect. Well, I'm sure
Yeah.
the Jack Russell, I mean, or the little
What do
Chihuahua,
you
or
have? What animals do you
my
have?
sister has rescued 2 cats
Oh, you
and
have
a
2
little
cats?
dog. 2 cats and a little Catahoula leopard. It looks like a little mini Dalmatian, like a small Dalmatian.
Oh, whoa, I never even
Really,
heard of that.
yeah,
Oh, that's so
they're fun.
cool. And they're
Yeah,
there
so
with you now in your apartment?
they are in a room right now. Otherwise, the cats would be putting me
Oh,
on their
yeah.
table and disconnecting us. The dog would be biting me, jumping on my head, and trying to see who you are. So it's
The same here. My Chihuahua mix, he's like right on top of me, and they're so
I
funny.
love Chihuahuas. I
Oh,
love them so much.
he has like one dog, and he had his teeth were all rotted, so he had to have 12 teeth pulled. He has one underbite fang, so it's very funny, very cute.
It's probably really cute, even though it's not happy that he.
Yeah.
Okay, very important thing. Interior design firm. You help women with knockout abuse and to find a path out of the abusive situation and poverty. But the design firm, talk about how important your surroundings are and the big project you're working on now.
Well, currently we are. I like when I can blend all that. At the core, everything I do, I like helping people. I like improving people's lives, particularly women, and men too. But
I know you hate men. It's okay.
no, I don't hate men.
You hate men.
I just so right now we are redesigning a big office building for the oldest domestic violence shelter in Los Angeles. We're showing up in masks, so we're doing the indoor-outdoor therapy room for the women and all this stuff, and really create. And then together with One Room Challenge, which is a big popular internet makeover, we're going to make over this entire apartment building together with some male designers. Actually, one different designer takes different rooms. And this is where women come when they have an abusive situation. And it's an emergency shelter, so it's hidden, and they can live in these rooms for 6 weeks. So this is where women come when they have no self-confidence, just completely fear-filled. And we are creating these amazing mini, warm, welcoming apartments for them. So that's something really positive to do right now. And that's something we do with knockout abuse as well. We revamp spaces. And now we're planning to revamp when women move out of the shelter. We're starting a program where we're actually going to create their first own apartment, like try to get free furniture for their first own apartment to begin their lives. Because, so it feels very meaningful.
That's incredible. It's life-saving. And it really is. You're outside, there's nowhere to turn, and somebody's beating you or threatening to kill you.
Oh, yeah, we did it. We did it with a shelter in DC, and we got all these designers together, and they did one room each, and everyone was just happy to be there and help. But then when the women who were living there came back, and I can cry still today. They came back in there, the women and the children, and they were just crying. They're like, oh, so moved. It had such an incredibly powerful impact on them that we were just all crying, Yeah. So, I think particularly with all the negativity, that's going on in the world and in this country today, if we just focus on helping someone else or doing good or it changes, it changes your own mindset and it changes those around you. So fortunately, there's so many incredible people who just, they want to help and support. And they thank us for letting them help, because people like helping. People are, generally, most people are extremely kind.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right. I think when you're most depressed or down, I've always found if you do something for someone else, all
Yeah.
of your thoughts go towards them, and it's almost selfish because you feel better by doing something for them.
Yeah,
So it really works both ways. Otherwise,
for
a book,
sure.
a movie, it's not going to do that much. But if you make somebody's life a little better,
And you get out of yourself, you know, you
mm,
get out of yourself. No, I think it's one of the best things you can do, particularly now during this kind of, you know, what will be a mental health crisis with this quarantines and the economy in shambles and people losing their jobs. And so right now we're doing a food drive. So we're just every other week. So we have this continuous fundraising for money, and 100% of the funds go to food drives for the different domestic violence shelters in town. You know,
that's
and
so great.
that even just there's lots of volunteers. They're like, I'll do the shopping this time. I'll deliver the groceries. You know, because it's positive.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
so great that you're doing that because, I mean, obviously the government should be doing this. It should be completely funded by tax dollars, and there should be
Yeah.
just, volunteers helping, but not financing it. It's crazy. Thank God you're doing it.
Yeah.
So when your son's father passed away, that must have been a real rough one, right? And
Yeah.
now being a single mom, how are you holding up with that? Because, I mean, I feel sorry even saying it, but that's difficult.
Yeah, well, it was, we were actually had just gotten divorced when he got glioblastoma, brain cancer, which is what Ted Kennedy had, you know, that the worst kind of brain cancer. Basically, the average person lives between 3 to 6 months, and he was able to survive 3 years. But, you know, it was, you always wonder how people close when they have loved ones who are, you know, they get a terminal illness. You know, I always wondered before how you survive that. You know, how do you survive that? And then it happens to you, and you just you know, you just find this incredible strength, and I mean it's awful. I mean it's awful. At the same time, it made me a better person because it forced me to look at death and dying. And I mean, I spent weeks reading books from every aspect of dying, from scientific to religious to hospice to spiritual books to therapy, anything. And, you know, I was that much richer for it because I needed a way to be able to take my son, who was 7 when his father got sick and 10 when his father died. So I felt like I needed a relationship with death to be able to guide him through it, you know. But yeah, no, you don't ever want to be the person that, you know, we found out he had passed. When he finally passed away, my son was asleep, and I'm like, okay, have to wait all night until he wakes up and tell him. Ah, yeah.
Makes you a tough person. My father used to say, I'm sorry?
Yeah. No, it's you know, it's life.
Well,
What were you
I
gonna
think it
say?
was Winston Churchill. He was saying, when you're in hell, when you're going through hell, keep going. There's no thing of, oh, it gets easier or you'll adapt or anything. It's just, you're in hell
Yeah.
and you wake up, you make your son his breakfast. And then whatever you cry and make his lunch or whatever, it's not the same. It's not ever going to be the same.
You just power through. You just, you know, you just power through. You just somehow get used to it. It's incredible as we face horrible situations. It's actually incredible the resilience and strength we all have. You know, when you're faced with something, it just is there. I mean, it's yeah, and every difficult situation in life brings you something good. I mean, it sounds so cliche, but it really is. Every difficult situation strengthens you or makes you a wiser individual, and that's just life.
All right. Let's end on happy notes. Give me a great memory from modeling. Something about modeling, like a high point in modeling, where you're really cover or runway or travel.
Great memory. I mean, I have funny stories. I mean, just
I bet you do.
I'm trying to think. Well, there. I think particularly in the beginning, I actually came to this country as an au pair.
Oh.
I was 18. I was an au pair. I was going to take a year off from school and go to San Francisco and be an au pair. And I decided I love this country so much. I had to figure out a way to stay. But I made $50 a week as an au pair, and I called an ad in the paper. My friend and I just called an ad for actresses in the paper just to try to figure out a way to be able to live in this country. And anyway, it's a whole long story, but we went to this, that's how I ended up modeling. But it was a very funny story. It was
we'll do that next time, definitely.
Yeah. It was like a fake modeling school, but that whole thing it's a very funny memory.
I went to a t-shirt casting for models. It was totally fake. They wanted you to buy a $2,000 book and do headshots and that stuff. And it was like t-shirt modeling, guys, any size, any height, any whatever. And I was like, oh, I went with my grandmother. We were very excited. That's how little we knew. We took a trip into New York because I was going to be a t-shirt model. That 9 million guy in New Jersey is going to be a t-shirt model.
Right. That's funny. That's funny.
We've all been there. Happy moment about your son. I know the birth is obviously one of those great things.
Yeah. I think moving to California, it was a really fun experience for us, starting over, getting a whole new life here, and just the whole journey was fun.
Perfect. Okay. Anyone you want to give a shout out to? I know Carrie Otis. We love you. Thank you for.
Oh yeah, hi Carrie. Just a shout out to Knock at Abuse West. Anyone who wants to get involved, go to knockatabuseWest.com. That's our West Coast, and figure out ways you can help or join or see the fun things you can do.
Yeah. Send money, volunteer, share the information, tweet it.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a corporation or run your own business, there are millions of ways that we can hook you up with women who support your business. At the same time as you can donate part of the funds from your company to help women in need. So there's a million ways you can help, make a difference, and create a great community of women and men.
Well, even with the unacceptable lighting, you were lovable.
Yeah, this lighting.
You said some great stuff, and you're doing it all to help people. So, from us at Chance TV and everyone else out there that needs help, it's great that there are people like you.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. Bad lighting and all.
My pleasure. Next time I have you on, I'm sure there's going to be like 4 ring lights and an overhead light under the table and a flashlight, whatever. No, you look fantastic.
Yeah.
Give my love to the animals. Tell your son, I hope he finds the girl in the sweater. She's out there somewhere for him. She's probably an au pair somewhere, and he'll run into her, and that'll be it.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I said, look, you only need one, right? Well, maybe a few.
Now, if he goes Mormon on us or something, who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, one good one's all you need.
Yeah.
So
All right.
Well, go ahead.
Yeah, no, well, thank you for having me on. That's awesome. And good luck in New York. I know it's a tough time there.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's wonderful. I will contact you later, and we'll talk about some other stuff, whatever. But for now, I'm just going to just say your name and your organization and that you're watching Chance TV.
Okay. I am Jill Sorensen from Knock at Abuse West, and you're watching Chance TV.
Thank you, Ms. Sorensen. We are out. Bye, guys. Take care.
Bye.